excited today to be introducing something new from Informatica, and we have really a great group of people here to take us through an update and overview. So we're going to dive right in. We've got a pretty busy agenda that we want to cover. So welcome to the webinar. We're going to be introducing Informatica Cloud Master Data Management, a new solution from Informatica, and we're really excited about the interest we've seen just in a couple of days since our announcement went out. And we're also going to be spending quite a bit of time on Informatica Cloud MDM at Dreamforce. So if you are going to be attending the Salesforce.com conference, which is next week, we would love to spend more time with you there on this topic. So today's agenda, Ravi's going to be taking us through Informatica and how we think about master data management and our journey to the cloud. We're going to be providing you with a pretty good overview of how Informatica Cloud MDM fits into the Salesforce world. And then we're going to be spending really most of the time in today's presentation on an interactive demonstration. So I do want to let you know that you can use the chat panels if you're watching live today. This will also be recorded, and we'll be putting it out on YouTube. So we do want to make it interactive, but we have a lot to get through. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Ravi to introduce us to MDM and Informatica's approach.
Thanks, Darren. My name is Ravi Shankar. I'm the Vice President for Product Marketing for MDM within Informatica. I have been with the MDM technology and the market for the past 7 years. First off, for those who don't know much about Informatica, with a singular focus, Informatica is now the #1 independent leader in data integration. In 2011, our revenue was $784 million. The 6-year compound growth rate of revenue was 20%. Unlike most enterprise software companies, Informatica grew every quarter, even during Great Recession. Most importantly, for the 6th consecutive year, Informatica ranked as the #1 for customer loyalty. We have close to 5,000 customers across 82 countries. 70% of the global 500 companies rely on Informatica for their day-to-day data integration and data management needs. For those of you that are not very familiar with MDM, I will walk you through some of the key ROI, the return on investment it delivers within key business imperatives. As Gartner states, MDM will reduce data redundancy in organizations and as a result will save 80% of the costs. These are the key drivers for MDM within each of these business imperatives. In governance, risk, and compliance, MDM helps improve risk management and regulatory compliance such as Basel III within financial services industries or Sunshine Act within life sciences companies. MDM helps improve efficiencies and reduce costs through faster new product introductions, improving productivity of customer-facing employees, and reducing operational costs with accurate data. Companies can develop greater customer intimacy, improve cross-sell and upsell, as well as improve customer retention with the most authoritative customer data. Companies engage in mergers and acquisition to leverage scale of customers, operations, etc., to increase revenue and reduce costs. But without reconciled data across the two companies that merged, they might not be able to gain scale. MDM improves end-to-end business processes greatly, improving business agility. Finally, MDM improves decision-making by senior executives with better analysis and reporting. Informatica MDM technology is the foundation for several marquee companies to power some of their most business-critical operations. To name a couple, the largest wealth management firm uses Informatica MDM to improve the productivity of 16,000 financial advisors by 30%, resulting in a 10% increase in revenue per financial advisor, which totals to an annual savings of more than $50 million. Another is a global 50 pharma giant. The person who is in charge of MDM there would say, MDM is not just a project for us, it's the way of life. They're using Informatica MDM as a true multi-domain hub for critical contracting, order-to-cash, and compliance processes across the entire pharma and medical devices business units. They're also the winner of the inaugural Gartner MDM Excellence Award because they realized more than $15 million in benefits using Informatica MDM. MDM within Informatica has evolved to embrace cloud. About 2 to 3 years back, customers were integrating cloud applications like Salesforce with Informatica MDM either as a source and or as a target. We brought in the data from Salesforce and other enterprise applications such as CRM, ERP, legacy, and created the best version of the truth and pushed it back to Salesforce.com, to other analytical applications, and as well as enterprise applications. But MDM was on-premise within the firewall. Our Salesforce.com customers have been asking for MDM to be deployed on the cloud so that there will not be any implementation time, rapid time to value, and subscription pricing. So now we have evolved the MDM technology itself to be on the cloud, and that's what we are going to be discussing in further detail today. Darren, back to you.
Thanks, Ravi, for the introduction and really an overview of how Informatica has been looking at master data management. As you mentioned on your last slide, we're really now seeing this shift to the cloud with MDM, and Salesforce has really been a driver for that. So that really is the impetus of the announcement this week of Informatica announcing a new cloud MDM solution. And I want to hand it over to Michael Dooley, who's recently joined Informatica, to really take us through what that means and really what that looks like and where we're going with our new Informatica Cloud MDM solution. Michael, over to you.
Great. Thanks, Darren. So Ravi hit it right in the head. We saw two emerging trends coming together a few years back when we started Data Scout. The first was this evolution as people put more and more data into different types of clouds, and they wanted to be able to manage that. The other was they took Salesforce, which was the de facto cloud application, essentially connecting both more on-premise and cloud applications to it. So we started Data Scout with that in mind. We created Data Scout 100% cloud. It's actually based on the Salesforce Force.com platform. So all the data that is being managed, creatively mastered, is within the Salesforce application, does not need to leave the Salesforce environment. In doing that, we've got quite a few accolades from Salesforce themselves. We got an Innovation Award, a couple different certifications, and more recently got the Gartner Award and Cool Vendor for Master Data Management and Data Governance. So we've come a long way over the past few years, really looking forward to the potential of the next few years. Before kind of going into what Data Scout is, I thought I would talk a little bit about a customer of ours, actually a joint customer with Informatica. It's Lockton Insurance. Lockton was faced about a year and a half ago with a decision. They wanted to roll out a sales system and base that on a couple different legacy policy administration systems. But when they looked at the data within those policy administration systems, the data within each one of them was poor, the data across both of them were poor, and so loading that into Salesforce was kind of a losing proposition in terms of actually using Salesforce to deliver that to the sales team. So we actually inserted Data Scout in between those policy administration systems and Salesforce. Data Scout cleansed all the data, deduped it, consolidated into a single customer master view, imported that into Salesforce, which is a great win. Salesforce was really happy because their project would have been delayed 1 year if they were trying to clean up the data on their own. The other side of this is the speed to market that Data Scout brings. So this project, both integration of that data and mastering into Salesforce, took 3 weeks. So out of that, we got dubbed MDM for the masses, bringing MDM to all the different use cases in and around the Salesforce community. So this is a typical landscape we usually interact with. Front and center Salesforce, I mentioned before that we're on the Force.com platform, that we're built within Salesforce, so it's great value proposition for Salesforce-only customers. But then as we've seen an evolution for bigger companies that they want to tie into other systems as well. Along the bottom are the on-premise applications within the data center, so your SAPs, your Oracles, being able to bring interesting data in from those. As I mentioned before, on the left-hand side, we've seen a large kind of evolution to more and more cloud systems, so being able to rationalize data across those systems as well. And then the final bucket on the right-hand side is the data providers. So as part of this evolution with Data Scout, we found that most everybody has some sort of relationship with a data provider. It's data.com for Salesforce, Dun & Bradstreet. There's a bunch of vertical list providers, but that's a very difficult proposition to get into Salesforce and attach to the right record. So Data Scout's landscape is really trying to address the Salesforce-centric, but all the peripheral applications as well. And when we typically engage with customers, we go through this process of cleaning and mastering this data. It's by no means prescriptive, but we've seen this kind of work over time. It starts at kind of high noon on this, which is data cleansing. This is your basic blocking and tackling, standardizing data, deduplicating it, so you can do more creative things with it. As we've talked at the outset, Informatica Cloud was a strong partner even before this acquisition. That brings us to the integration. So moving that data between on-premise and cloud applications, very important. And once you do that, the consolidation box comes into play. So the thought here is consolidation. If I've got two or more systems that I'm combining data together, I need business rules how to remediate conflicts. So if address is different across those, that's where consolidation comes together. Then building relationships. This is all about how do I get to a full relationship with my customer, understand how to better cross-sell and upsell them. And then the final bit is around extensibility. So if I want to build on top of the Salesforce or Force.com platform, I can do that. So we'll take a couple minutes just to give a quick overview on each of these, and then we'll turn it over to Dina for a quick demo. So data cleansing, I mentioned before, it's largely around standardization, deduplication. At its core, Informatica Cloud, formerly Data Scout, is a fuzzy matching engine. And what that really means is it can identify similar records that Salesforce or other systems may overlook. So the first kind of use case that pops to front of mind for a lot of people is deduplication. So I want Informatica Cloud MDM to essentially go in, analyze all my data across those systems, find the duplicates, remediate them, but I also want to prevent it from an ongoing basis. So we would engage, have Informatica Cloud MDM, analyze the database, and then we actually have hooks pre-built into all the different interfaces for Salesforce to protect that on an ongoing basis. So we want to keep that data pristine. And if you've ever worked within Salesforce, you've probably seen reports that maybe be a little inaccurate because there's a lot of permutations of data. The easiest one in my mind that catalyzes this is the country field. Right now it's a free text field. There's a lot of different permutations, whether it be from marketing lists or people inputting that through the user interface. Data Scout can actually, through business rules, standardize or normalize all that data. So it can take all the different permutations on the left and normalize them into one United States on the right. And this gives you reliability in your reports, reliability in your campaigns, and so on. The final piece around data cleanup is preventing invalid data. So because we know what valid values are and we're a fuzzy matching engine, if we have someone coming in and putting in country of nowhere, we know that's nowhere close to a valid answer, and we can prevent that or actually just provide a recommendation on an alternative to that. So data cleansing, I mentioned before, is kind of the blocking and tackling. This is complete, consistent, and duplicate-free data. So if you've ever kind of gone through and tried to clean up your database, this is that step, but there's a lot more that you can do with Data Scout. So I mentioned before, our relationship with Informatica afforded us a great integration technology, and Informatica Cloud MDM expands on that. So it essentially takes the delivery of the data from all those different endpoints, Oracle, SAP, and like the locked-in use case, will actually clean those up before they go into Salesforce. So it can act as a holding area or filtration system to clean data up before it actually hits your end users. So this piece is all around moving data between on-premise and cloud applications, connecting those business processes, but doing it with high-quality data. So the data cleansing and integration gets us ready to do consolidation. This is where the MDM aspects really come forward. So we typically think of consolidation in three different buckets. The first one is consolidation of Salesforce orgs. So over time, Salesforce pops up in different areas of the business, different geographies, different brands, and what happens is there could be a multitude of different Salesforce orgs. Well, as the leadership of sales, customer service, or marketing, I want a single view of my customer. So how do I rationalize that data? Because we're on Force.com and we understand data management, this is a native feature of Data Scout. So we're able to coalesce all that data from the different Salesforce orgs and bring those into one customer-centric view. The next consolidation is kind of the traditional MDM, which is connecting my front office to my back office. So I've got interesting front office data in Salesforce, valuable SAP data on the back end. how do I connect that into a single customer view? So what we're really doing is using the integrations to be able to extract the valuable bits of data and the business rules within Data Scout that understands how to combine that data. So the first piece is...
Michael?
Yep.
Seem to have an operator. Seem to have an issue with the line.
Yes, one moment, please.
Okay, that's better. Hey, Michael, as you go through, there's been a couple of questions that have come up. One specifically around data volumes. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Was there back feedback?
Yeah, we're good now. There was a question as you were going through, and just wonder if you can address it, and maybe Ravi has some commentary as well about generally in terms of data volumes. As you look at numbers of records in a Salesforce environment, in a single Salesforce object, for example, even. Do you have any estimates on capacity or how you look at overall volumes in a Salesforce environment from an MDM perspective?
Yeah, so certainly that's one of the aspects that we look at in terms of kind of capacity planning. The other is the number of different systems and the quality of data. So there's really no exact formula around it. We could probably give some anecdotal evidence around big volume customers that we worked with in the past. And we've also got, obviously, a really tight relationship with Salesforce to manage all of that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, so the final consolidation bit that I wanted to talk about was the data enrichment. And that I alluded to a little bit earlier that there's different vertical list providers that people have relationships with, along with maybe some address or contact validation. Data.com is pretty popular in Salesforce. So how do I take all these different data feeds and rationalize them so I can enrich that single customer view? So Data Scouts can bring in both that data, match it with the proper Salesforce information, and actually enrich that information so you can actually build out different hierarchies, which we'll take a look in the next section. So this is kind of the last piece I'll cover before the demonstration, but it's all around building a relationship and making that data actionable. Typical scenario that we see with customers, they've got a couple of different Salesforces, maybe some different SAPs, a multitude of custom databases, all of which have pockets of customer data. And so they're all kind of scattered about different geographies, but it's very hard to get a customer-centric view on what that data looks like. So what we've talked already about the integration and application data coming together, now we're actually reorienting that data so it's a cohesive hierarchy that you can use within Salesforce. So this is all about taking what's in Salesforce today and extending upon it. So if you've ever done kind of dashboarding across multi-domain hierarchies or being able to drill into detail analytics around sales or marketing, this gives you further enablement to exactly pinpoint your users. So dashboards, being able to develop cross-sell and upsell campaigns, be able to target people along different verticals is all around the relationships and building out those dashboards. The final piece I wanted to cover is around the extensibility. I'm just going to put this up here. As I mentioned before, we're built on Force.com. So all the investment people have made in Salesforce, the talent, the Apex code, all that is transferable into Data Scout, Informatica Cloud MDM. So you can actually build on top of those different apps. So you'll see a big push into social and mobile applications, be able to leverage all those existing Visualforce and Apex coding skills. So that's kind of a quick overview. Let's turn it over to Dina and see it in action.
Okay, great. Thank you for that overview, Michael. And so as some of you have seen here, Michael and Dina have recently joined Informatica from a company that was very popular in the Salesforce ecosystem called Data Scout. And the Data Scout team is now part of Informatica, and we've relaunched or are relaunching the product as Informatica Cloud Master Data Management, Informatica Cloud MDM. So you're going to hear a lot more about it and see it in action at Dreamforce, as we mentioned earlier. And now is the sneak preview. So Dina, over to you to take us through a demonstration.
Great, thanks very much, Darren. Let me just share my screen. So I'm going to take you through the Cloud MDM solution. And one thing that Michael pointed out is it is a Force.com application. So everything I'm going to show you is native to Salesforce.com. And Think of it as taking all the functionality of Salesforce.com and extending that value by building the trust in the data. So this is a Salesforce environment of an organization that are selling to restaurants and fast food chains. They're selling supplies to them. And one of the strategies that they want to put forward is they want to start to upsell a premium service product to all the organizations that might already have some of their appliances and some of the larger businesses that might deem value in their products. So some of the things that they might want to do is build reports around seeing who are the customers that already have their products installed, like fryers or dishwashers that are installed in the restaurants. Who are the organizations that they have service contracts already with? Where can they leverage the existing relationships to upsell further opportunities? And they might have a microsite in place to bring in inbound leads, and they want to monitor if these leads are getting followed up or they're getting assigned to the right account managers. And at the same time, there are other bits of information, as Michael mentioned, you could be getting from external systems like SAP or a service solution like Remedy that could be feeding in segmenting information for you for building a strategy. And you could be purchasing lists from the likes of Data.com or Dun & Bradstreet. So in this environment, the first thing we're going to click into is point out the fact that they do have a microsite that is bringing leads into their organization. However, it doesn't look like any of the leads are getting assigned to individual account managers other than Suzanne Myers. And if we click into that list, we'll notice that within this you can see if this is, in this example, this is a regional-based territory management. So you can see we've got multiple variations of United States and United Kingdom, and we've got Deutschland instead of Germany. So there's a lack of standardization here in the list. You'll also notice there are multiple duplicates in this list, and that tends to happen when you've got a web-to-lead integration, particularly if there's a slight variation in either the spelling of the person's name or the organization that they work for. Either they forgot that they put in a name, they entered in a record already, or that it's slightly different every time. So I'm going to take you through some steps and show you how Informatica Cloud MDM can help the Salesforce org get better information out of their data. So if I go into our dashboard here, you can see that I can start to run the processes that Michael mentioned in the 4 steps. And the first step is to standardize all the country data that we've got in the org. And what this process does is take all these multiple variations of United Kingdom, UK, or US, USA, and standardize it to one field and match it against a list that you get provided. The next step is obviously to standardize the other objects as well, so marketing data like leads and campaigns, and ensure that it's all the same so that anything that needs to get assigned will automatically get assigned to the right account manager. And the last thing that we're going to do is then run the job to identify all the duplicates. Cloud MDM gives you the opportunity to manage your duplicates in multiple ways. The first step is to identify the duplicate within the record itself, and then you've got the option to either manage this duplicate via manual merge, or you can auto merge that record. Now if we refresh our dashboard, you'll notice that all the different variations of country have now been standardized to 4 main countries, and we now have a clearer view of how each region is doing. In this example, you can see that we now have 1 block, so the United States is only 1 country, but most importantly, all the leads that were being assigned to just one manager or one marketing manager are now assigned to the right account holders. So if we click into this list, you can see that all of our leads have been assigned by region due to standardization. Now, we've still got an issue with the duplicates here, so if we just click into one of our records, this is where the Cloud MDM solutions start to give you that functionality where you can manage your duplicates in multiple ways. One way is you've got the option here to select the duplicate from within the record and actually manually merge that record, and it will take you through a process of choosing which aspects of the record you want to keep, and you can then merge the record manually. Now, one unique feature of the Cloud MDM solution is that although we have now merged this record, we have a special view here that allows us to see that it's never truly lost. the Cloud MDM solution is the only solution out there that's a complete no-loss merge, which means that even if you've made a mistake, you can go back and undo it again. Now, before I take you through the auto-merging functionality, what I'll show you is the fuzzy matching capability, the engine, so to speak, that's running in the background. Now, I've got a special tab here that's a view for your administrators to actually monitor what are the records that are being classified as duplicates and to decide whether something is a duplicate or not. And if we compare these two records, you can see in the account name it's just a slight difference with regards to the spelling of loco, but if we scroll down you'll see that there are multiple fields that are similar to within the records. And this is essentially the probabilistic fuzzy matching that's running in the background. So this is how Cloud MDM decides if something is a duplicate or not. Each record is matched against each other, given a score and a weighting, and the weighted scores are added up to give you a total score. That total score is matched against a matching threshold that you decide, and then if the score is above the matching threshold, it's classified as a duplicate. This means that you're not just relying on one or two fields to decide if something's a duplicate. You're relying on all the fields within the record to make sure that you've got that right view and you're ensuring that you're really classifying something as a duplicate. You also have the option to add in custom fields. If you're talking about contacts, this could be birthdays. If you're a financial organization, this could be special financial numbers or account numbers. Now that we've seen how the fuzzy matching works, we can now comfortably run the merge accounts and auto-merge all the records that are in the org. Now what this is doing is all these duplicates that we've identified within the records are now being auto-merged to each other. The same thing applies with the auto-merge. Anything that you've merged is saved in the background and is never fully lost. Now we can merge all our leads. And then finally, we can merge all our contacts. So now if I go back to my dashboard, we can start, while that's running in the background, we can start to look at the other components of the dashboard that might get affected by poor data management. So another aspect of the dashboard is the fact that with the customers that have installed products and all the other bits of information that could be coming in from external systems, we're very limited here. So this could be data that you're integrating using Informatica Cloud. However, what you want to ensure is that that data is being attached to the right record and not actually completely overriding information that you don't want it to. So if we click into this dashboard and we click into one of our records, we'll actually see why the data is not being filled in correctly. Now, we've got an organization, McDonald's North America. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. And if you click into this, you'll see that within the financial information, this is all blank. This is all data that could be coming in from external systems. And in this org in particular, we've got an integration with a financial system like SAP, service management solution like Remedy, and we've purchased some data from Dun & Bradstreet. Going back to our consolidated view that gives us this view of all the data that's coming in from the systems, we can see that we've got data coming in from Dun & Bradstreet that's filling in postal code information. We've got data coming in from SAP giving us the total revenue and annual contract volume. You'll also notice that there's a slight conflict here with regards to what's in the account versus what's in SAP. Now, in the account, we've only got a fryer as an installed product, but in SAP, we've got 2 products that have been installed. This could be due to the fact that you're selling products via distributors or just an old legacy sale that didn't make it into Salesforce. In this example, what you'll notice is that when we start to consolidate all this information to form one single view of a customer, what Cloud MDM will help you do is manage these fields and manage the master record. So where there's a conflict between 2 different systems, you can actually set at field level what record you want to win. So when we consolidate this record, now I'm going to do this manually, but this is actually a process that runs in the background. You can see when we go back into our McDonald's North America account, all that data has been filled in the record. And anywhere there was a conflict between the two different systems, so for example with the annual contract value, we have set one system to be the master record, to always override the other system. But at the same time, if you want to keep some sort of audit of your data, you've got your consolidated view to show you that. Another aspect of this record is McDonald's North America is not just an isolated organization. It's actually part of a much larger McDonald's corporation. Now, standard Salesforce functionality will allow you to have some level of hierarchy. However, this tends to be quite a manual process, and there is a limitation on how many levels that you can add into this. What Cloud MDM allows you to do is bring in data from either Dun & Bradstreet using DUNS numbers, or if you have hierarchy logic that's coming in from any other system, you can use that logic to actually build a hierarchy that you can report from. The key thing here is that you can roll up a report based on an overall ultimate parent corporation and roll up all these values into one single view of your customer. I'm going to take you through how that works. First, we're going to consolidate all our data on the whole org. We ran it on one record. Now we're going to consolidate all the records in the whole org. And next, we're going to build the relationship. So we're going to take the data that we've got from Dun & Bradstreet and start building in the hierarchy in our record. And if we go into our account, go back to our North America account, you can see that now we have a roll-up of all the various subsidiaries that make up the McDonald's Corporation. And that means that you can see all the levels, you can click into them, see, and you can even add in who the account managers are for each one of these levels, and this can go up to 1,000 levels in hierarchy. And now if we go back to our dashboard and refresh that, you can see that that consolidation job that we've run has now put in the right data in the dashboards and filled in the gaps. It's also ensured that if we click into this record, we can actually see that the McDonald's Corporation is actually made up of multiple subsidiaries from various countries and is a rolled up value of all the opportunities that we have with each subsidiary rolled up into one single view of your customer. Now you can start to make decisions at a global level of who your best customers are and who you're most likely to upsell your campaigns towards. And you can also see where the gaps are and when you might want to be working on a further campaign. So there you have it. That's how Cloud MDM can help you make better decisions with your existing data using all the standard reporting functionality that you have in Salesforce, but now it's data that you can trust. Back to you, Darren.
Wow, that was a great overview and an introduction to Informatica Cloud MDM. Thank you, Dina. One thing that it was really powerful for me, I've been using Salesforce for a long time. The fact that you didn't leave the Salesforce environment was pretty amazing. Can you talk about sort of the fact that maybe Michael as well, and you guys are this is built on force.com, user interface is all there. Is there anything else people need to do outside of Salesforce, or is there something that I didn't see in this demo?
Yeah, I can take that one, Dean, if you want. So, good question, Darren. So one of the things that we made kind of a design premise of Data Scout was that it had to be 100% on Salesforce. So we found that the Salesforce customers know Salesforce, they love it, they trust it, especially in terms of data security, and so we made that completely encapsulated within the Salesforce environment. So if the one piece that you can add in there is getting data from other environments and bringing them in, but that will be encapsulated within Data Scout inside of Salesforce. Okay,
great. Yeah. So just for people who are just joining, who came in late to the webinar, we did talk about earlier how earlier this week we announced the acquisition of Data Scout at Informatica and the announcement of a new product called Informatica Cloud MDM. And you actually see the URL if you go back to the PowerPoint. We'll go to the informaticacloud.com/MDM, and you can see some more details on the new solution. But I want to take a few other questions as we go through. And I just want to make sure the operator passes me back to the PowerPoint so I can make sure everyone's seen that screen. So a couple of questions have come in. There's obviously a lot of Salesforce users on today's call. We'll just take a few of these in order. One question was about the merging. In the demonstration, you really looked at accounts and contacts and leads. Are you able to also merge custom objects?
Yeah, so the custom objects, you can do it. You don't have that same user interface that Dina showed. As you guys probably saw, that's a Salesforce native merge that we've extended on. But yeah, you can merge custom objects as well.
Okay, great. And we're also getting a lot of questions from some of the Informatica cloud integration partners. So can you talk a bit about the history Data Scout had with Informatica, how you're already taking advantage of some of the Informatica cloud integration technology in this solution?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because Data Scout was actually discovered based on an Informatica Cloud partnership. So we originally were an Informatica Cloud reseller, saw this evolution or this need to manage data coming in from all those different data resources. And so then Data Scout was born. So Data Scout and Informatica have been technology partners, an OEM agreement for going on a year and a half, I believe, and so they're very complementary in terms of both the technology fit and then what customers have been looking to utilize.
Okay, great. And there are some questions about the different pricing and editions of Informatica Cloud MDM. So I'm just showing now on the WebEx that we are making this available in 2 editions. There's a basic edition. So if you're familiar with Informatica Cloud's packaging and pricing, if you go to informaticacloud.com/editions, you can see there's now an MDM tab there. And we said we'll have a basic and a standard edition of Informatica Cloud MDM. The basic edition is essentially a deduplication and standardization tool. So it's sort of an entry point. And roughly here we're looking at a starting price of about $1,000 a month as a sort of getting started point. And then we have from there essentially a per user pricing option, so essentially $1 a user for Salesforce customers. The standard edition, it's really designed for organizations with at least 300 Salesforce users, so it's a little more robust for larger Salesforce implementations. And we can go through all the different pricing and packaging on follow-up calls for each of these editions, because it's really going to depend on your implementation. And to that point, there was a question that might be a good one for either of you to take, is around more of a best practice. There was a question about, is the approach to create a separate org that is the combined data from MDM, or is this all within one Salesforce org? So one of the challenges you talked about being able to address is multi-orgs of Salesforce. Do you have any guidance or input on how you tackle that problem?
Yeah, so there's kind of 2 different deployment options, and there's not prescriptive. It's kind of based on whatever the customer needs. There's one where it coexists within your Salesforce org, so you can install Data Scout as a managed package directly within Salesforce, or there's more of a cloud only, which is kind of a traditional MDM hub approach where you have multiple different data sources feeding that central piece. So it's kind of, there's some pros and cons around each of those, but we provide a lot of flexibility in how you can adopt Informatica Cloud MDM.
Okay. So I can add on to that, Darren.
Go ahead, Ravi.
So you can actually deploy the Informatica Cloud MDM within a Salesforce org, or you can have it a separate one and consolidate the data from the remaining Salesforce orgs into that the newly created one, and then you can create a single view and standardized data in there.
Okay, good point. And actually, Ravi, while you're there, there's another question I think is as well suited for you. So if you look at the additions here, one is for a single Salesforce org, one is for if you have multiple Salesforce orgs. The question here is, my understanding is that this product supports Salesforce implementations, but not available for strict use of MDM alone, where cloud is not otherwise being used. Can you talk about when more of the multi-domain Informatica MDM would be a more suitable approach?
Sure. The Informatica Multi-Domain MDM is a universal MDM offering. It integrates with other MDM systems in a federated way, and it can include the Informatica Cloud MDM also in that configuration. So for customers who are seeking a solution for a clean, deduplicated, enriched, and consolidated data within a Salesforce environment, Informatica Cloud MDM is the offering that can stand alone to meet their needs. For customers with hybrid environments, Informatica Multi-Domain MDM and Cloud MDM can work together or customers can deploy Informatica MDM, multi-domain MDM just by itself. So the new product will give customers a new choice of cloud-native offering.
Very cool. That's great. So we'll be providing lots more detail, and again, even on the URL you're seeing there, we do itemize some of the capabilities in the multi-domain edition of Informatica MDM. But we could be happy to sort of do a deep dive to really understand which approach, if not both, will make sense for your organization. A question for the presenters, another sort of Salesforce-specific question. Is the data sent outside Salesforce at any point with Informatica Cloud MDM?
Only if you design it. So the thought would be you bring the data into Informatica Cloud MDM and by virtue Salesforce. You do the mastering. If you then want to share that with other applications, that it's obviously very valuable information. You want to have that synced up to other applications. You can take that out, but that's a decision. You don't have to do that.
Okay. And we're getting a couple of good questions from our friend Ernie over at Core Matrix about different hierarchies. The hierarchy feature I think is very, very powerful, and especially Salesforce customers have challenges with multiple hierarchies. Can you get the D&B hierarchy built with a global ultimate or headquarters, individual locations? What can you talk about in terms of bringing in a D&B hierarchy?
Yeah, so Dun & Bradstreet is probably one of the more common feeds that we hear from. And absolutely, you can bring that data into Salesforce via Data Scout. On top of that, people often want some flexibility in kind of managing D&B, so the global ultimate to D&B maybe not be the global ultimate to that user. So what Data Scout can do is take that D&B information, bring it into Salesforce, and then allow the flexibility to overlay your customer needs on top of that. Did that answer that question?
Yeah, that's good. Question
Great.
Also for Ravi about sort of direction of Informatica Cloud MDM relative to the core Informatica MDM hub. You talked a bit about that, organizations being able to work with both. Can you speak to sort of the direction and where you see this, how this merges with Informatica MDM over time?
Definitely. So we are going to give the option for our clouds, for our customers, whether they want to go on the cloud or on-premise or use as a hybrid. So the products will kind of work together. Right now, it is definitely possible to integrate them using a federated deployment model that I just talked about. But in future, you will see very close integration between the products so that they can easily go from one to the other depending upon their needs.
Okay, great. And then getting a couple of questions about integrating other systems. Michael, you talked about being able to, the previous or existing partnership with Informatica Cloud integration for being able to bring in other data sources. Are there some common data sources you see organizations wanting to bring into the MDM environment in your experience? And then a specific question about Salesforce. Can you talk about, if you bring data in from other sources, say on-premise systems, will that mean buying more storage in Salesforce?
Yeah, sure. So the first one is there seems to be, we showed it a little bit in the presentation, kind of the major ERP vendors. So SAP is probably the most common one, that realm, Oracle eBusiness. So we've actually enjoyed a lot of the integration capabilities from Informatica Cloud, plus the data mastering with Data Scout. So we've seen that from kind of the on-premise side. We've actually seen quite a bit in the custom application. So whether it's in financial services, healthcare, insurance, those seem to be common ones. And then on the cloud application side, we've seen more and more growth there, NetSuite, Zuora, some of those different back-end systems. So those are kind of the applications. I would say if it's probably as expansive as Informatica Cloud's marketplace in terms of the endpoints, because all the Salesforce of deployments have a variety of different endpoints. And then in terms of storage, this is an interesting question. So I mentioned before that we're Aloha app certified. So today that essentially means for Salesforce customers that we're not going to step on your customizations or be adversely impacted by them. And that's true for everything except for 2 items, and storage is one of them. So we've actually deepened our partnership with Salesforce to address storage. I don't want to say that we can handle every use case out of the box, but we've been able to manage every one of our customers and not impact their storage requirements. So
Okay,
I would say if whoever asked that question, it's probably worth having a detailed understanding if they wanted to pull all their data from every source into Salesforce, how to exactly do that.
Okay. Well, I think we've had a lot of good questions coming in, and let me ask you a softball question, Michael, in your new role on the business development side. So if an organization is really interested in a deep dive in Informatica Cloud MDM, what are the next steps?
Yeah, I would say there's kind of a binary path. So if you're going to be at Dreamforce next week, we are going to be in full force there. We're obviously very excited. We've got a lot of interesting things planned. And then if you're not able to join via Dreamforce, I think Darren had mentioned the link on the InformaticaCloud.com website /MDM. Register there, and we'll make sure that we get that detailed discussion to you.
Okay, great. So let's just take a second to talk about Dreamforce. On Monday, the 17th, we are hosting a customer event in San Francisco, and there's details on all of these available at informaticacloud.com/Dreamforce. We are going to be pretty prominently displayed at booth 1313, really highlighting Cloud MDM. And we also we'll have a separate area, a separate pod to kind of do some deep dives on the Cloud MDM product. If you want to take advantage of that, you can do that as well. We have a chatter group in the Dreamforce org, and then we're also going to be doing a customer breakout session on the Thursday at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And I did look at Dreamforce org just last night, and there was still some room in that session. So do go and sign up for that now if you are attending in San Francisco next week. We want to see you there, but for many of you who aren't going to be at Dreamforce, we want to talk to you also. So let's just bring up that URL one more time, informaticacloud.com/MDM. There's a contact me button, and we will reach out to you. We will be sharing this webinar and PowerPoint with everybody who registered for today's call. So with that, I'd like to just to throw it over to Ravi and Michael and Dina. Any other final thoughts on Informatica Cloud MDM and Informatica's cloud strategy in this area?
Definitely. So this is a very exciting offer from Informatica, building upon the leadership from data integration to data quality to master data management. And we truly believe in the comprehensiveness of our technology in a unified, integrated way, and the openness of our technology to address any heterogeneous environments you have within your enterprise, and also to be able to accomplish that in a rapid time to value and in an economical way. So we are very excited to introduce this new offering for your needs, and please do visit us at Dreamforce, and also looking forward to chatting with you in the future. Thanks.
Yeah, this is Michael. Just want to echo Ravi and Darren's excitement. I mean, we from formerly Data Scout, now Informatica Cloud MDM, couldn't be happier, and really look forward to all the inquiries at Dreamforce or online.
Well, thank you, everybody. Dina, you've been quiet. Sorry, you want to add something else?
No, I just wanted to reiterate what everyone's been saying. It's a perfect match between bringing in the data using Informatica Cloud's integration solution, and then the Informatica Cloud MDM now completes that process. So you now have the data you need to get that single view of a customer, but now you can trust it as well.
I love the use of the word match. It's a match made in the clouds. And Dina, I want to thank you for just a fantastic demonstration. I love that it was all in Salesforce. Again, as a longtime Salesforce user, I can't wait for us to get rolling on some of this ourselves internally. So with that, I'd like to wrap up today's webinar. Thank everybody again for attending, and we will see you at Dreamforce.
This concludes today's conference. You may now disconnect.